There's Rory on the left. Show you Keith. Oh, my camera's still not working. Great. Thought I fixed it. Guess I didn't. We'll just have to look at Rory. That's good. Like I said, Rory, longtime player, always trying to learn. The thing that I notice about Rory usually is that after the match, after I play against him, he always has a question for me, right? He always says, hey, what could I have done better? Or, hey, do you think that was a mistake when I did this? Or, hey, why did you do that? So, massive props to him in terms of, like, always wanting to improve and get better. Really appreciate that about him. Keith, on the other hand, usually knows what the right play is, so he isn't asking too often because he just knows because he's a stone cold master. But Keith, one of the friendliest guys in this room, there's no doubt about that. Super, super nice guy. Always, like, never heard him say a mean word to anybody, etc., etc. So I am going to go get their picture as they play the first few turns. Hold that thought, guys. 1 sec. Okay. Thanks for bearing with me. We have Rory and Keith. Update their archetypes here. Rory playing Blue-White Spirits. Keith playing the Hollowest Boys. There we go. All right. Let's see if my camera's fixed for Keith. There we go. There he is. There's our boy. Give us a smile, Keith. Come on, show us those teeth. Keith, 1, 2, 3, smile. Nope. All right. So Rory, Blue-White Spirit starts with Mausoleum Wanderer. Keith, gonna go ahead and go Bloodstained Mire, Blood Crypt, Flame Blade Adept. Props to him. He's played Hollow One for quite a while. I have no doubts he'll be playing it at the Pro Tour next weekend. Of course, he has to submit his deck on Wednesday, so if he's playing it now, I gotta imagine he'll be playing it then. So Mausoleum Wanderer gets in for 1. Selfless Spirit comes down. The Spirit's deck starts slow, of course. Mausoleum Wanderer, not a huge beater. But when the Drog Skull Captain comes out, it gets a lot bigger. Also holds a Curious Obsession pretty well. So Flame Blade, Lightning Bolt for Key. He's trying to maintain board supremacy. If you're just joining us, got a little influx of viewers recently. This is a Titanium 1K. My name is Zack Hall, and I'm coming to you live from Milford, Mass. This is TJ Collectibles. We've been in business for about 25 years, been running Magic tournaments for about 20. long-time players here. So here we go. Rattle Chains comes down. Rory untaps. Life totals should be 19 to 17. Let me update that for you. Rory at 19. Keith at 17. Rory uses fetch land, goes to 18. Could this be a Drogskull Captain? Not sure. Interesting that he's fetching, unless it's something like a Mausoleum Wanderer and a Drogskull. That could be it. One mana, Mausoleum. And in for 4. Down to 10 goes Keith. I have to imagine that Rory fetched main phase to either bluff a Spell Queller or hold up a Spell Queller. I can't see really why else he'd do that. Mana Goblin Lore. This would definitely get quelled had Rory had it, and here we go. 3 mana, 1, 2, 3. Spell Queller. This is a huge board for Rory. He represents a 2-turn clock. And Keith can't even attack, so let's see what Rory has. 6 power on board. 2 spirits would end the game. Drogskull Captain would end the game. Supreme Phantom would end the game. Another Spell Queller would likely lock it up. The Moorland Haunt makes a spirit for Rory. There it is. Mausoleum Wanderers get +1/+1. In for 8. Keith gonna drop to 2. Be very hard for him to win. He's gonna untap. He's gonna draw, unless he can somehow make these Flameblade Adepts 8 power each. Faithless Looting gonna make them 3 power each. I suppose there is a universe where he can string 2 Burning Inquiries together. But even that could be stymied by Rattle Chains to block. Alright, Burning Inquiry number 1. Flameblade Adepts, currently 3 power, about to go up to 6 power. Counter it unless you pay 1. Counter it unless you pay 1. Keith can't, and he packs them in. Nice heads-up play there by Rory to use his Mausoleum Wanderers. And off we go to game 2. So Spirits is a deck we have been seeing pop up in a huge way lately. I was at a PPTQ last weekend, and it was everywhere. Some people were playing blue-white, straight up blue-white. Some people were splashing black for Lingering Souls and sideboard cards. I saw a player with green for Collected Company, which was kind of wacky. But it's been cropping up, and the only thing it got was Supreme Phantom, which is good, don't get me wrong. That is a pretty damn good Magic card. But you wouldn't think that the simple printing of a 2-mana Lord would catapult this deck from unplayable to, like, really good. So I think it is a flavor of the month at the moment. Not to say it won't be good someday in some iteration, but it's hard for me to believe that a deck with no real disruption. I mean, it has disruption, right? It has 4-path. It has Rattle Chains as Selfless Spirit. So it has Spell Queller. It has like protection and limited disruption. It's hard for me to believe that this is going to be a tier 1 deck. I played against it in the PTQ, and I did lose, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that that I crushed it, that I won easily. I'm not going to say that. but I resolved an Oblivion Stone, and like that was just game in one of the games. It was just scoop to that. And a fast aggro deck is supposed to be good against Tron, so you know, hard to say. Has anyone in chat been experimenting with it? Oh no, it wasn't at Battlegrounds. It was at the Dragon's Den. I want to say it's the Dragon's Den. It was in like southern Connecticut. It was in like Middleton, Connecticut. Certainly the Dragon's something. Excuse me for my silence as I make a Facebook post here. This is unfortunately a one-man show. There we go. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. So here we go. They're laying out their opening hands for game 2. In the sideboard, just to go over it real quick, Rory has a Bounce Spell, an Echoing Truth, a Kataki, a couple Blessed Alliances, and that's going to be about it. Maybe Worship, depending on whether he wants to go that route. Keith has Collective Brutality, so Worship I think is maybe a little bit of a trap. But it's also possible that Keith just straight up sided those cards out. Land Flameblade met with land Aether Vial, both players taking 2 here. Keith afterboard, his best card is going to be Grim Lavamancer. He gets some miscellaneous removal like Fatal Push and Engineered, but Grim Lavamancer is going to be the key for him. And Keith only has land. Oh, it looks like he kept a 1-lander and missed for turn 2. Maybe he's holding on to a Faithless Looting for turn 3. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Joe Horton not in the house today. A little surprised. And Ludicus Pat, hey, thanks for watching. To answer your question, we have quite a few players today. We had something like 60, 55, 58, 60, somewhere in there. I think modern PPTQ season is really making these events more popular. Keith misses again on land and just says go. Ouch. Was this a tilt keep? Makes me wonder. Lightning Bolt at least has him make 1 play. So he is able to use his mana. Not out of it, not falling that far behind. And look at this. Rory has 3 Aether Vials. Always feels so terrible. Keith with land, a Goblin Lord would let him attack for a huge chunk of damage. And also make his hand much better, presumably. Fill his graveyard, Bloodghast, Flameblade, Phoenixes. This is nothing else but a Goblin Lord. It just has to be. Unless there's a Spell Pierce from Rory. Which there's not. Perhaps a Mausoleum Wanderer. Off Aether Vial, it does resolve. Hollow one hits the bin. Not going to see 4 hollow ones this turn. Let's see if he has any. Flame Blade smash for 8. Rory is down to 7. And my apologies, I'm lying. Did not expect the Path to Exile. Keith is not too upset about that. Lets him get his 3rd land onto the battlefield. Start doing things like Hardcast Flameblade Phoenix, like Flashback Faithless Lootings. Not the worst result. And he ends with a hollow one. Nice turn. Selfless Spirit end of turn. Aether Vials on 1 and 3. But Rory down to 3 cards, one of which is Aether Vials. So, you know, Spirit's deck is tricky. Spirit's deck has Mutavault. It says Moorland Haunt. Spirit's deck has like flash creatures, but at the same time, Hollow One is just straight up a 4/4. So that's gonna be winning the race here. Keith to 13. Mutavault at the ready for Mr. Rory. Collective Brutality still in Keith's deck, so if Rory was leaning on Warship, that is not a card that's going to be a lock for him. Faithless Looting here looks like it's getting quelled, but I believe that's Rory's last action spell. While Keith still has a full hand, he still has at least 3 or 4 more cards, presumably only like 1's a land because he missed so many land drops. Possibly 0 are lands, and if this is a Collective Brutality, which it is, this really lets him leverage all these cards he has in hand. Collective Brutality, actually only 1 mode. Not what you usually see. No attack. From Rory. Excuse me, from Keith. No attack with the Hollow One. Doesn't want to trade it for just 1 of Keith's creatures. To me, that seems like it might be a good trade, right? You kill the Spell Queller and unlock your Faithless Looting, but Keith decides against it. He has certainly played a lot more Hollow One than I have. Life total is evened up to 11 apiece. Rory passes back. Goblin Lore, Keith's first play. These cards land, and I think the last one was Lightning Bolts. This is an attack for 8. Rory's mana pretty awkward here. He can activate Mutavault, but not Moorland Haunt, so he just takes it. He takes it all. End of turn, Rattle Chains. Is Rory trying to kill Keith in 1 fell swoop? Drogskull Captain plus Mutavault would be 9. Not enough. Drogskull Captain plus Supreme Phantasm, Supreme Phantom would be enough. Okay, fetch from Keith. Let's see what he has here. Untaps, draws. Keith at 10, Rory at 3. Another fetch from Keith at 9. Life between these two players. That's it. And wow, look at this. Engineered explosives for 3. Interesting. I'd be curious to see if Keith pops this now to destroy Spell Queller or potentially hold it to kill Drogskull. I'd be pretty specific read if I was Keith, if Keith did that, right? Because Rory certainly would have deployed Drogskull at the end of turn. Last turn with or like during his own main phase to attack. So the Drogskull would have to have been drawn this turn and not been used offensively. But Keith holds it. He says, I'm so far ahead, the only way I can lose is if Drogskull comes down. Keith can eliminate Spell Queller from Rory because Rory did not quell the Engineered. Double block. Engineered. Faithless Looting. Cast at instant speed here. Coming Flame Wake and land. Rattle Chains gets eaten. Keith firmly in the drivers. So, wow, and Drogskull end of turn. Okay. So combined with another Drogskull, it's still only 7, and Keith's at 9. Not enough. He says go. Tasigur from Keith prompts the scoop from Rory. Rory knows there's no way out, even if he had a Path to Exile or a bounce spell. For the hollow one, would not be enough. Players back to the sideboards here. It looks like, because I'm watching Rory thumb through his deck here, I saw one warship, haven't seen a second one yet, but I did see at least one. And it looks like he's keeping it or they in. He has access to 2 in the sideboard. Has at least 1 in the deck. Gonna keep those in. It is interesting, right? Like, Warship and Drogskull is really strong. Warship and 2 Drogskulls is a lock against damage. But, that said, 2 Collective Brutality. Now, Rory saw Keith discard a Collective and play a Collective. So Rory knows that Keith went through like a third of his deck, 40% of his deck, and saw 2 Collective Brutality. So if I was Rory, and I knew Keith only had 2 Brutality, I'd probably keep the Warship in. But seeing 2 Brutality in 20 or 25 cards, I think I'd side him out. If I had anything reasonable to bring in. It just might not do anything. You might get to 4 and slam it and then just die to a Collective Brutality. Your 4-mana sideboard card. Yeah. And guard yourself, you're right. Engineered makes is the out to the Warship and Drogskulls. So really the Warship just not, I think, where I'd want to be. And watch me be wrong and it just steal a game. That's really possible. My apologies for the round clock. I'm not really sure what happened here. There are about 26 minutes left in the round. There we go. These players go into game 3 with plenty of time on the clock. pretty unlikely that they go to time. Six rounds of Magic we're going to play today. It was pretty close to 7. 65 to 128, the cutoff for 7 people. So we were close. Also at 1-0 in the room, Brian Leverone, like we talked about. Chris Allen, Northern Mass, New Hampshire player, Boston area player. Not exactly sure where he lives, but that area. He's on Infect today. He's 1-0 and was walking away from the table pretty quick, so got to imagine 2-0. Adam Stuck playing Humans, play testing for the Pro Tour next weekend. He was 1-0. Milford Mike DeCoste, not sure what he's playing. He was 1-0 at the end of this round. A lot of familiar faces in the room. If you play at TJ's, you know most of these players. And here we go. We're going to start. Island Vial. Flameblade, go. Got to imagine this match favors Rory on the play. I see a Drog Skull. I see a Rattle Chains. 1 mana. File number 2. Yep, the team of Matt Costa, Dave Shields, and Adam Snook. Snook's the modern player, Shields the legacy player. Costa takes standard. I know at the RPTQ, Costa was playing blue-white. Got to imagine he'll be on a control deck for the Pro Tour. I don't talk to him, so I'm not sure, but that would be my guess. Strong team. Strong team. They've been having a lot of success in these team tournaments. Faithless Looting pitches Gurmag, pitches Flameblade, and Grim Lavamancer comes out. Huge, huge, huge card in the matchup. Gonna make Rory do a few backflips to get around it. He has Drog Skull, he has Rattle Chain, so he can do it. It just might mean that he has to time his spells, his vials at inopportune times, and especially that he has to wait a turn, this turn, to play Rattle Chains. Game 3. Tense here. Flameblade Adept gets in for 1, just 1. Nothing Rory can really do about that. He could try and like overextend to double block it, but just not smart. You just take 1 damage. $18-15 right now. Excuse me, 16. Vials up, Rattle Chains and Drog Skull active right now, but if you're Rory, you gotta be a little afraid. Keith has a Grim and 2 open mana. This could represent Lightning Bolt so easily here. or even the fatal pushes that Rory doesn't know about yet. Rory keeps the parity of this game, activates Mutavault and swings in. Doesn't really change anything. Kind of dares Keith to do something, and I think a worse Modern player might jump on the opportunity and try and grim it. But there's really no reason to walk into the obvious Drog Skull, the obvious Rattle Chains. And I'd like to think that Rory would make this attack even if he didn't have those creatures. Really not much to be gained by activating Grim Lavamancer. If anything, you activate it on Rory's face, which I think is defensible. Depends, of course, on Keith's hand. Keith untaps. This is a weird situation. It really is. This is reminiscent of a few other situations, like Pinger versus Pump, like Pendelhaven versus Removal, Caracas versus certain types of effects. And here we see a Burning Inquiry from Keith. Pretty good draw. Rory going to respond with a Drog Skull. He does not want to lose his Drog Skull Captain. He has 2 Rattle Chains, so it's okay if one gets lost. But Drog Skull is absolutely not okay to lose. Ooh, Engineered Explosives down for Keith. That's a key for him. Only has access to 2 of those, and 1 just hit the bin. Spell Queller in the bin for Keith. Tassiger coming down. More important for the activation of Flameblade Phoenix than anything. So Flameblade Adept, a 4-2, Phoenix a 2-2. Rory just going to settle for taking 6. He can't trade his Drog Skull for a Flameblade. That would just be really silly. So he goes to 10. Now, if Rory drew a Drog Skull off Burning Inquiry, this is looking really good for him. 4-4 Hexproof Mutavaults, 3-3 Hexproof Drog Skulls, 1 Engineered Explosives down, Grim Lavamancer reduced to meaningless. Let's see if he has it. He definitely still has 2 Rattle Chains left, that's for sure. Drog Skull in for 2. Keith at 13. Wow, just says go. Interesting. Goblin Lord discards Collective Brutality. Only 1 Brutality left. If Rory were to draw a Warship, it would be very live. Everyone joining us, thank you. It's a great match to tune in for. BK, I see you in the chat there. Scott Metcalf, see you in the chat, guys. Wish you were here, but if you're not, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Keith lines up an attack. By swinging, he puts the ball in Rory's court. I mean, Rory can't really just take 5 here and go to 5, because Grim Lavamancer on the board Plenty of fodder. That would be a 3-turn clock. If he takes 5 here, that is really aggressive. That's basically Rory saying, I can kill you in the next 2 attacks, which doesn't seem all that likely. Instead, he's going to line up a double block with Mutavault, trade off one of his Mutavaults for an Adept here. Menace really awkward for him at this time. Keith just accepts, says, okay, Rory, you're at 8. That's 4 Grim Lavamancer activations. Double Grim. 3-turn clock. Turn, Rory's thinking about it. He really needs a Drogskull captain right now. Second Drogskull would be prime for him, but he doesn't have it. He just untaps, leaves Violet 2, leaves Violet 3. And Big Booty Tassiger holding the ground here. These Mutavaults can't attack. Rory would love a Warship. He'd love a Path. He'd love another Drogskull. Cards that would be terrible for him right now. Curious Obsession. Supreme Phantasm wouldn't be all that good. Phantasmal Image is fine. Geist would be bad. Gotta imagine he side Geist out, though. Mausoleum Wanderer, one of the worst draws in the deck. Unfortunate. Drogskull in for 2. Rory, whittling down. Keith not going to let him use the Rattle Chains profitably. He says, end of turn, all right, I'll Grim you. I don't care about your Drogskull, I'll Grim you. You're at 6 now. No, you're at 8 now, excuse me. He considers his options here. He's thinking, all right, I have him in 2 turns. I have Grims. How do I best not die? How do I not lose here? And he decides on holding 5 mana up and Sango representing Lightning Bolt or Fatal Push.
Yeah, all the games should be faster. All the games should be faster.
Trying to decide what to do here. He really doesn't know whether to try and pick a fight over Drogskull in response, whether to just save these Grims for the face. He is lost, and I don't blame him. This Spirit's deck is hard to play against. Rory's range is wide open here. It's not like with some decks, like a Collected Company deck that plays all sorcery speed spells except Collected Company. When they leave 4 up, you know exactly what they have. This deck plays entirely at instant speed. Literally every card in his deck, except Curious Obsession and Aether Vial right now, are instant speed cards. And I guess 1-drops. Rory counting it out here. Rides on Mutavault activation and some blockage. Really getting backed into a corner here by Keith. Can't afford to take the damage, but also kind of can't afford to block. In the end, trades 2 creatures for a Rattle Chains, and then post-combat tries to collect a Brutality Mausoleum Wanderer, but it's not going to work because of Drogskull Captain, so he just drains Rory, it looks like. And I'm not sure exactly what happened there at the end of the game, but the result was that Rory offers the hand to Keith and scoops him up. Kei Rong, the winner. Nice job, Keith. There he is. Stoic. My camera froze, but that's him. He's the winner. Moves on to 2-0. Congratulations, my friend. Very nicely done.